the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and see.
We're always asking ourselves, while we lay in our beds staring at our ceiling, or out in a field staring at the sky, what is life? What is our purpose? What is the meaning of it all? As if some part of us was saying, it's just not real. It's just something keeping us here, entertaining us, keeping us involved. And in some ways, every time we think about slipping away into some deeper state of mind, some form of inner peace, there's always something that takes us away, some simplicity of life. Amusement parks, movies, just general entertainment. Friends and families pulling you by the arm. Come along with us, watch this, do that. And meanwhile, we always wonder, what is life? As if something was watching us, something observing us, wondering, is this the one? Is this one different than all the others? And yet, as soon as we begin to drift away, something else shudders and strikes our life to drag us back into the drama of it. And it just seems after a while, time and after time, as we grow smarter and wiser, we begin to see things seem to repeat themselves over and over. Of course, they're all uniquely different, but in some ways, it just seems to be the same in just a different way. I'd like to introduce you to this gentleman. This is Professor Sylvester James Gates, Jr. He is a theoretical physicist who received his Bachelor's of Science, Mathematics and Physics, and his PhD degrees from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the later in 1977. His doctoral thesis was the first thesis at MIT to deal with supersymmetry. He is currently the John S. Toll Professor of Physics at the University of Maryland, College Park, and serves on President Barack Obama's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. Here's a little clip that you should pay special attention to, and also not only to what he's saying, but take a look at the images in the background, because they're going to come up again. Something very similar, something very strikingly similar to something that spiritual masters were seeing and trying to carve into clay tablets and into stone and to draw on the ground, because they didn't have the technology we have. And they're known as yantras and mandalas and all of these things that they seen in their mind. So take a look at this.
Are you saying your attempt to understand the fundamental operations of nature leads you to a set of equations that are indistinguishable from the equations that drive search engines and browsers on our computers?
That is correct.
So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos?
Into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer code.
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
It's not just sort of resembles computer code. You're saying it is computer code.
It's not even just is computer code. It's a special kind of computer code that was invented by a scientist named Claude Shannon in the 1940s. I have, in my life, come to a very strange place because I never expected that the movie The Matrix might be an accurate representation of the place in which I live.
So this brings us back to the same question when we stare off into the sky. Keep in mind, everyone doesn't do this, at least not like some of us do. We see and we feel something different, something that says something isn't right. We go back thousands of years again to the shamans, the Vedics, the mystics, the seekers of higher truth who separated themselves from everybody else in the world, from everything in the world, because they knew that something was just distracting them, as if it was trying to hold them in a certain state of mind, saying, this is reality. And by separating themselves from everything and everyone, up in their caves out in the jungle, they dug deep within their mind, whether it was psychedelics or drugs, which showed them some weird techno energy fields or structural energy, or just deep meditations within their mind. They began to push deeper and deeper. For you see, when you have nothing else around you, you tend to go within. And within is what? It's micro. It's like looking deeper and deeper within your consciousness, like a super powerful microscope. And you go through these thresholds as you go deeper and deeper within your mind, as long as there's nothing outside bothering you, nothing to distract you, to snap you into what we think is reality. You go deeper and deeper, and you battle your own mind, and you move past everything that you think that you see. And finally, when you get down deep enough to the most micro levels, exactly what Mr. Sylvester James Gates was talking about, you find these unusual patterns that we're finding now in science, in quantum physics, and supersymmetry science. In other words, we are finding the same thing they found thousands of years ago out in the jungles and in the caves. A center of the mind, a center of the universe, something that said, here is the greater truth of reality. This is what everything is made of. It's all following patterns. It's all following a program. And if you can understand this program, if you can conceive it, if you can comprehend it, as you push deeper and deeper and deeper down to the depths of the finest structures, if your mind can comprehend what you see, which we would understand in today, our knowledge of science, our civilization's beginning to comprehend, is code, computer code. That's what's there. That's what these Vedic masters were finding within their deepest mind. When they separated everything that they were, everything that they believed, everything that they thought, just removed everything that kept clawing and pulling and pushing on them to keep them in some kind of static state of mind, just moving along. They went so deep within their mind, they discovered the ultimate level of reality. And in so, the ability to change reality. If they found the code, the very structure that was written, and they were part of that code, and they could self-realize, self-become aware. This is what consciousness is. This is what self-realization is. This is awakening. When you hear the word awakening, what does that really fucking mean? It means that you begin to see reality in a different way. You no longer see what everybody else sees. You see something different. You see more. And that is realization. That is awakening from a sleep. That is a consciousness level. When you look out the world and you see the patterns and the structures, and you see that these patterns and these structures are repetitive, it's as if we are a collective following a pattern, that we are becoming predictable in life. As we develop technology, we begin to see the world, we begin to predict what human behavior is. We begin to predict behavior of animals and species and water currents and atmosphere changes. And eventually, as our technology gets more and more advanced, we will be able to predict the future without the future really being written, but actually somehow being able to look at the architecture of reality and understand that everything is governed by some form of program, some reality that's governed. And we're part of it. Every living thing, everything, is as if it was programmed or designed. Some say it was designed by God. Some say maybe it's a greater program. Some say it's maybe just some computer process that's running in the future. And we are all part of that petri dish of a program running. I find it ironic that we're stuck on a planet that's just circular. We can walk and walk and walk, and we just come around to the other side. It's as if, hey, we don't want something to happen on this computer program, so let's make sure that it doesn't run into any interference of other programs out there. So we'll stick it on a ball, and then it just will cultivate and cultivate and cultivate like a petri dish, not tampered with, until eventually it evolves to a level that it springs wings and it can fly out of its petri dish, or in this particular case, off of itself, outside of itself. And then we can see what new equations it'll run when it mixes and blends with new species out in the universe. As if something was observing us, watching us, aware of us. Like a computer being able to sense so many millions and trillions and infinitive amounts of variables conscious of them all, knowing that all of them are energetically connected, a oneness, and something is connected to all of it, monitoring it, until eventually it can mature to the next level of its program, its evolution, and move outside of its singular program because it's met one level of its end. It's able now to begin to extract itself outside of itself, introducing new possible variables, as if whatever was watching, whatever was observing, was very interested to see each level of its progression. What are we? Spiritual says we're made of energy. That's very interesting. They said this for thousands of years. We've talked about souls and consciousness and life beyond death. What the fuck is life beyond death if we're not physical? We're energy. What is that energy made out of? It's made out of programming. Programming is energy. It's definable. It tells you this is where your energy stays. And we are all made similar. All of our human bodies are like cloned. In fact, haven't you ever met someone that's just like somebody else you know and you could swear that you know this person? Well, what if we just couldn't count that high, but all of these people are just wearing different clothes, but it's the same design with a slight variation for each model and each design. And at the same time, we're told constantly, hey, be part of the program. You too can have your dream. Stay with this program. Be within it. And we will fulfill, or it will fulfill your earnest desires. Just function. Don't question. Don't push yourself outside of the box. Don't ask, is there something more than what's all around me? Be content. Follow your dreams. Do what the machine says that everybody else is doing, for that's the highest ideal. Everything is becoming predictable. Everything. The more we understand with science, the more that we discover everything that they said in spirituality for thousands of years is one truth. It's all designed. It's all a grand illusion. And you need to see the truth. You need to see and understand and conceive and comprehend and feel inside of you that there's something different that wants to separate, that wants to move outside of whatever you're a part of. There are moments unlike any other moment. They may look like any other day or any other place, but there's a moment that seems to come in when we begin to question what we're seeing, as if we're feeling something, as if something inside of us saying, it's so perfect, it's so beautiful, it's so magnificent, that it brings some of us to understand that we're at the threshold of finding the truth, of knowing that whatever we're seeing isn't real. And we can sense or feel some divine energy out there calling us like it's been calling us from the very, very beginning. And it's like it has a hidden message in certain places. We see it, we feel it, we sense it. And then something jerks us back into the norm. If only we had just stared a little longer, looked a little longer, listened a little longer, would have something been unveiled to us? Some greater truth? Maybe we were pulled away because we just weren't ready for that moment. But some of us are. Perhaps you are. But you have to recognize those moments. And these are the moments that we find in meditation, in deeper reflection. Instead of going out and find them, we find them within ourselves. Constantly pushing ourselves to a greater threshold. Seeking a greater truth. we're part of a petri dish or a computer program and everything around us isn't real, maybe some ancestors in our past or something that we are part of but not really, they're the real and we're the imitation. Maybe they're running us as a program somewhere in the far off future, millions or hundreds of millions of years in the future, to see what altercations would have happened to them had things been slightly different, and they're running one program after the other. We call it reincarnation. But the truth is that we can feel other parts of the other programs around us. Sometimes we say maybe they're ghosts, or maybe it's something we sense or we feel. And they're all programs, and we're just aware of those programs running around us, and we call them other dimensions, other realities. But in truth, we're just some program running, and we're not even the real thing. If enlightenment is a reality, and those who attain it, like the greatest masters that ever lived, they understood somehow what reality was, and they could bend the rules, whether it be walking on water or floating a bowl up a stream or creating a storm out in the desert or creating miracles. Whatever happened at some moment in their existence, some moment of inner reflection, inner thought, it was an awakening. And when they finished their existence, if they really were in a petri dish, I would imagine that those outside of that petri dish admired them so much that they allowed them to come into their world, become part of their real world. Because after all, don't we already sense that there's something beyond, something more real than what we're in? But we keep being reinforced and told, no, this is real, stay here, stay here. But we keep looking, we keep wanting greater answers. Something out there, God, other beings, who knows, are constantly saying to us, don't stop trying. If you try the hardest, only the very few will awaken. It's a battle. It's a battle, and you have to fight yourself. Fight your will. Fight for your life. Fight for your consciousness. Have and achieve realization. And at that truest moment of realization, you will understand the meaning of awakening. But it won't be easy. It won't be easy. But if you want it bad enough, you'll understand. So when you're laying out in the field someday, and your mind is clear, the kind of clear that comes from spirituality, and you look into the sky, and you see something more than what you're supposed to see, and you realize at that moment, it is a grand illusion, because it's all in the details if you pay attention. And it's that realization that creates awakening.